Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 the cast in the Moonlight 4v4 tournament. Yes, it is back, and this time we're in round 2, where we have a pretty exciting game. I feel like this is going to be pretty awesome, and considering the reactions on COH2.org, indeed, it is going to be a pretty good game. We have Golden Path Gaming down here in the Golden Path 2 down here in the south. And TATUS Gaming, up here in the Nerf. So the map is, of course, Leand Forest. The players are Captain S. Price, Sedolio, Sloth-Lord, Baron PL, expecting weird things out of him, G-Dot, who also is one of the people who contacted me, so thank you for doing that. And yes, this is going to be the next little squad. COH2, Crossfire, of course, very good player. Nagano, also really good. And Von Asten, of course, pretty damn good as well. That's, of course, going to be TATUS versus Golden Path now. Ooh, not capping the fuel point, leaving that to the combat engineers. Interesting. The actual factions are Soviet plus another Soviet plus an UKF plus USF, so pretty balanced little contingent coming in. For the allies, for the Axis, we have one OKW, one Wehrmacht, another OKW, so 2 and 2. Basically just balanced out for both teams. Pretty nice little setup. We are going to have the first engagement coming in on the left side as some weird lag settles in. Combat engineers for the Germans versus the infantry section. Infantry section, if it can maintain this kind of long range, it's going to be able to easily outbeat, outfire, and outgun the Germans. The Germans, however, have an MG42 coming in from Von Asten, and Von Asten, of course, is going to try to get his MG up on one of these buildings to get maximum coverage, I'm guessing, of the area. This is Leand Forest, of course. There's the very big, very evil building over here by the Victory Point, and quite a lot of buildings on the left side, sort of town area that you can use. Of course, MG42 gonna pin down these infantry sections quite easily. And now we have a sniper squad from Captain S. Price, and he's going to be able to use that to push back these Storm Pioneers. I wonder if later on this is going to be used to get the MG to kindly retreat back to base as well. On the right side, Baron PL with his lovely Penals, I guess, already going for some Penals, is going to be fighting against Crossfire's folks in the forest, which could go pretty wrong for the Folks Grenadiers, especially as they get closed in by the Penal Battalion. Penals very nicely switching their fire of the SVT-40s back to the Storm Pioneers. Will be able to wipe them out quite easily, and also the Folks Grenadiers, if they don't want to follow the same fate, will have to head back to base with their tail between their legs. G-Dot is coming in with his riflemen and managing to get some damage off on the combat engineers for the Germans, but that's pretty bad, and yeah, he's going to go down. So a bit of a late retreat coming in from both Crossfire and G-Dot, going to lead to a couple of early squad losses. It looks like on the left side, the Germans are being very aggressive, pushing in against the sniper team of Captain S. Price, but thankfully for the Allies, there's quite a bit of defensive units around these snipers. However, the Germans are just pushing in with lots and lots of infantry squads from all directions, and they've managed to force at least the Penals to retreat. So right now the sniper is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Looks like, however, these infantry sections from Sedolio have managed to capture quite a few of these buildings. In fact, we have 4 infantry sections out of him already. Of course, that means he purchased free after his starting one. That's still quite a lot of infantry sections for the start of the game, and he can use that to gain himself some infantry supremacy. Looks like this engagement is going to go to the infantry section once again. Left side, pretty much gonna be, at least for now, mostly under British control. Of course, there's a few pockets of German forces, such as this Grenadier squad down here, but he's going to have to retreat again because of the Penals from Captain S. Price. So both Soviets going for the tier 1. Not entirely surprising, wanting to go for the safety of having those Penals. Remember, this is not on the balance mod, so it is going to be pretty much the reign of the Penals, at least for the early game, for our Soviet players. And of course, gonna be forcing away that poor machine gun, just can't really do too much. Satchel Charge gonna go in on the building, gonna force away those Grens that were trying to occupy it. At this point, this Penal Battalion up here is gonna be in a little bit of trouble because of the machine gun and a couple more German units in the area. They will, however, spot the mechanized regiment headquarters coming in from Nagano. So I wonder if he's going to go for a Lux early on. Ooh. Infantry unit lost for Nagano, seems like. Most likely a Volksgrenadier. This Volksgrenadier almost going down as well, but gets saved by the Sturmpiles from himself. Gets saved by his own Sturmpiles, managing to put quite a bit of lead down on these penals, and the penals might go down. In fact, they will go down with the intervention of Crossfire's Sturmpiles. Crossfire is going to go for a battle group headquarters in the basically the same location as the mechanized. Very good idea, because that's going to give the Axis a very nice reinforcing point right on the front line. Which is not only going to benefit Crossfire, but it's also going to benefit all of his allies as well as they fight for control over the train station. Looks like the VP situation is very much in the favor of the allies. Triple cap right now underway, but these Grenadiers will put an end to that pretty quickly. Scotch managing to get himself a pretty decent infantry force. It seems like 3 Grenadiers, one engineer, of course, and 1 of each mortar and MG, which is fine. However, he has been pushed completely out to the right side by the double player combination of G-Dot and Barton. Ooh, G-Dot going for the infantry doctrine, managing to get a lot of mines out of his rifleman squads. This is a pretty sneaky little move from him. He's going to be able to use his 2 riflemen that are left. He, of course, lost one in the early game, but he's going to be coming back with the vengeance, and using the mines is, of course, going to slow down the Germans quite a lot when they come in to try to recapture the area. At the same time, he's gone for the lieutenant here, so he's going to be lacking in AT for a while, especially also because I doubt that he's going to be upgrading weapon racks anytime soon, because with the infantry doctrine, you can get those M1919s. So he's not going to have either AT guns nor bazookas for a long, long time. I wonder if he's going to have some other kind of ace up his sleeve to counter any light vehicles. Speaking of light vehicles, what is coming out of this? Yes, it is a Lux. So the Lux probably going to be a very, very big annoyance, but there's an AEC armored car from Sodolio, so using that pretty good asset that is available to the British can definitely be a good counter to the Lux. Pretty good push coming in from Crossfire with Panzer Fusiliers. Of course, this tells us that he's going for the breakthrough doctrine. Later on, he's going to have that Yak Tiger available to him. Very, very strong little vehicle. Chubuang tries to come in to hunt down the snipers, but it is itself turned into prey instead of the hunter by the AC. AC doing quite well for itself, and right now it looks like the Germans are bringing up a 251 half-track, seemingly just to reinforce up these infantry squads, but it was actually upgrading the flame projectors. Flame projectors actually mostly hitting his own allies as forces, so a little bit of an unfortunate debut for the flame half-track, which could have done quite a bit of damage. Of course, decided to get the hell out of Dodge now that it saw the AC. Doesn't want to be a big lumbering target for that vehicle. In the meantime, it looks like a bit of a push from G-Dot is going to be repulsed. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit because, of course, there's just a little bit of a stalemate right now. Nothing too major happening. So the Lux is coming in. It's going to fry up the Scout Car with its 20 mil, but the AC has a 75 mil, and it's going to be absolutely outgunning the Lux quite easily. Now, however, this doesn't mean that the Lux can't really do anything anymore. The Lux can still try to outflank the AC as much as possible, get it sort of on its toes, get around it, be where it isn't, and in general just be a very big nuisance to the Allied infantry all throughout the map. That's what it can do and what it should do. Trying as much as possible to stay away from the AC and along with the Allied infantry. Ooh, such a charge almost blows up that entire Panzer Fusilier, but the Panzer Fusiliers will manage to escape that. So we have 2 Dushkas coming in from Barton PL, obviously going for that Lend-Lease doctrine. It can be so very dangerous with that Dushk spam. He might just have the weapon required to counter these Panzer Fusiliers. Getting a lot of suppression work done could be very good for him. In the meantime, the left side has been completely ignored by the Allies, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a mistake. They should have sent at least 1 or 2 squads after the Germans captured it to at least see what is going on, try to get some points captured for free, do some harassment, and distract the German army from the battle for the center, which has been raging for about, well, since the game started, actually. So the central battle has been what's sort of driving this game forward for now, but if the Allies were to be a little bit more proactive on the left side and Germans on the right side, very good with these pioneers from Scotch, this could change at any moment. Mortar Pit has gone up for Sidolio. Pretty good little choice. He has enough resources also to go for a company command post. So I feel like, ooh, this AC is in trouble. Needs to pop that smoke. Yep, does. And gets out of the line of sight with that hay bale cover. So Sidolio could be going for a company command post at this point, and that would be pretty damn decent for him. I guess in general he just wants to see what the Germans will be going for. Speaking of going for, we see that our Wehrmacht players, Von Asten hasn't gone for anything quite yet. He's still just stuck on Battle Phase 1, partially because he's been very much busy reinforcing his infantry, so his manpower pool isn't quite as heavy as it could be, but also mostly because he might just be waiting to see what allies are doing and trying to counter that. Scott, however, has gone for a tier 3, and he's gonna purchase a Stug. Decent choice, although, of course, that's not going to really do all that much to counter the allied infantry hordes, nor the Dushkas and mortars that are sort of kind of rampaging throughout the center. But hey, I guess he's just kind of worried about the AC and any kind of allied vehicles that might be coming in later on, such as something like this flak half-track. Interesting choice to go for a flak half-track for G-Dot. I mean, he's also gone for a mortar half-track, so I guess he just wants to have the full house, but I don't know, I don't think that the flak half-track was a good idea. Doesn't seem like it has done much. It's got 2 kills and pretty much next to no veterancy, so overall, not really doing the most. I mean, G-Dot is clearly positioning himself to be more of a support player with these mortar half-tracks, which can be very, very strong to essentially counter enemy infantry and support weapons. Mostly support weapons of that white phosphorus barrage, which is very much underrated. It can do quite a lot of damage for only 25 munitions to quite a large area. Especially, it can be very, very effective against enemy troops gathering around something like this battle group headquarters, because it continuously damages their HP in such a way that the medics really can't do much. Even though it does not kill, it can be quite the big annoyance. Very nice. Using the mortars for the Germans to destroy the Dush. Dush could be, I guess, stolen right now from the Germans, but this 50 cal from G-Dot is going to say no, and it's not going to be enough because the Panzer Fusiliers sneak in, manage to capture that. No big artillery pieces coming out from anybody, only mortars and sort of lighter stuff. Ooh, Flame Half-Track going to be coming in. Definitely dangerous stuff for people that are hiding in buildings. Just like Satchel Charges. Satchel Charge just eating a very nice chunk out of that building and forcing these poor Volkskrieger to escape from the other exit. So far, the Allies have managed to keep up when it comes to the VP game. They earlier on had a triple cap going, but right now it seems like there's been a bit of a, I guess, counterattack from the Germans in that regard. They have managed to recapture the left side quite solidly, and now they're going to be sort of holding that as well. PTRS goes to these poor pioneers, which, well, I mean, that's okay. Not really going to be able to do too much with that PTRS, I don't think. However, here comes the AC. AC means that this half-track is in trouble, and this Luke's might be in trouble as well, but the AC decides that it's better to not risk running into whatever might have been there, because, of course, the Allies didn't really know what was in here. There might have been enemy units equipped with Panzerfausts, so of course the AC didn't want to do that. Center, looks like the Axis are pushing in quite heavily. We have some White Phosphorus and some mortar barrages coming in from the mortar half-tracks, but it's not going to be enough to stop these Panzer Fusiliers, managing to get in very, very close with these combat engineers from Sidolio, and in general, forcing away all the very meager forces that the Allies have in the area. The AC could be a good little bit of counter to the German infantry. Germans not really bringing in anything else to support the push, however. They have lots of support weapons in the rear, and they also have this AT gun, which could be brought up to try to destroy either the forward assembly or the French mortar emplacement, and they're not doing that now. They're also not bringing in that Flame Half-Track, which has been sort of roaming around the left side as if it were a bit of a ghost, and the Luke's especially has been pulled back to repair. Now, there's a Stuka on the field for Nagano. It has fired a barrage. It's got a little tiny bit of experience obtained, but no kills, it looks like, so I wonder where it fired. I'm not sure. I don't see it really anywhere, but oh well. T-3476 is on the field right now for Baron PL. Baron PL, of course, going for that tier 4, and as well, Captain S. Price also going for the tier 4. No? Yes. Captain S. Price. Wait, no. What the? Okay, whatever. UI banging out a little bit. So Captain S. Price still sort of keeping himself with the Tank of the Battalion Command. However, he does have the Soviet industry tactics, counterattack tactics, and guard motor coordination tactics. So he's got quite a lot of late game options overall. Whereas Barton PL going for that Lend-Lease is going to, of course, later on go for some M4C Sherman. So he's going to be very much focused on those medium swarms. Whereas I believe Captain S. Price could be going for KVs or KV2s to have that extra bit of support with that heavy armor. Right side has been recaptured by the Allies. Flak Halfrek definitely proving himself in this role of counter-harassment on the right side. However, as soon as the Germans get something a little bit heavier in a little bit bigger numbers, once their vehicles start to be a little bit more disposable and they get a few more of them, they can just send something on the right side without really fearing to lose the left or the center. Right now they're trying to do that with the Stug, but the Stug is definitely vulnerable by itself to the Allied infantry. In general, they're not going to be too scared of the Stug, especially when it's by itself. So the Stug needs to be very, very careful with what happens on the right side. Well, I was thinking more of something like a Panzer IV. Along the lines of that for the right side. That can definitely be spared, relied upon to not die to infantry, and can destroy the half-track quite quickly. Left side of the map, still a bit of a German push. We're coming in with a couple of these Panzer Fusiliers doing quite well. We have a couple of T-34 76s, definitely pounding the German infantry as it comes in, but they're still able to sort of be everywhere where the T-34s can't be. And they're going to be, well, actually not throwing any grenades at this 3-inch mortar placement, which I would have expected from Volksgrenadiers at least. A little bit of a incendiary grenade that would have been pretty good. We have a Stuka barrage coming in very nicely. Looks like the Soviet industry was chosen by Captain S. Price, which can be very, very strong later on with that KV2. There goes also a Volksgrenadier squad. So it looks like the engagement went pretty well for the Allies. They managed to get quite a few kills on the German units. But here comes a Panther from Von Asten. Von Asten's Panther does change around the balance of fire on the left side a little tiny bit, because of course these T-34s are going to have a huge deal of trouble with that Panther, and especially the AC really is going to be quite outmatched by that vehicle. Was that a Panzerwerfer? I heard a rocket artillery that wasn't a Stuka. Oh well. Ooh, Command Panzer IV from Scotch. Interesting. So he has gone for the Blitzkrieg Doctrine. And, well, I don't entirely agree, but I don't entirely disagree either. I mean, it's got some pretty good tools up its sleeve, especially with that Stuka close air support later on. The armored engagements could be going in the favor of the Axis, and it could be turned, I guess, in the favor of the Axis quite unexpectedly with the Stuka close air support. Well, of course, also Command Tank can be useful, especially to support the Panzer Fusiliers from Crossfire, who is hitting up quite a lot of fuel. So I'm guessing that he's going to go for that Yak Tiger white, I guess, vanilla, not really going for any other vehicles so far, which could be a big mistake, but it could also, I guess, work out in the end, because he's definitely going to get that Yak Tiger quicker than he would normally. I mean, there's no question about it. And he's just relying upon his allies to hold the fort in the meantime, which, I mean, they are doing, but not quite as well as they perhaps could be if they had more support. I mean, of course, as you can see, the resource income is in favor of the Allies. They do have more munitions income, and they do have more fuel income. And the VP's situation is in favor of the Germans overall, 392 to 343. But, of course, the Allies are in the ascendancy right now. They do manage to capture the center, and they are putting quite a lot of pressure on the left side. Looks like a S-mine field will be going down from Von Asten, so that's a very, very good way to prevent the Allies from sneakily coming in and capturing. But of course, they could just send in something like the Sapper with the Minesweepers. They could just send in a Minesweeper squad to capture the area. Looks like another Schwer Panzer Quarters is going to come down from Nagano on the left side, on the extreme left, which could be a good choice to sort of protect this area from Allied incursions, but it is very, very risky to put something like a Schwer Panzer Quarters so close to the front lines, because especially when it is so far removed from the center of the map, it's very much on the flank out there. it can be very easily outflanked by the Allies, or rather the main forces of the Germans, which I presume are going to be standing around the center most of the game, around here, can be easily outflanked, and the Schwerpanzer recruiters can be essentially gangbanged by swarms of Allied armor later on, especially once the Allies start to bring in lots of mediums coming in from, most likely, Barton PL's Lend-Lease. Looks like he's already gone for a Su-85, as is Captain S. Price is going for that Su-85. Very, very good purchases from both of these Soviet players. They're going to need that extra bit of an anti-tank in the center. That big line of sight definitely going to be quite useful for the 85mm main gun of the SU. He's going to need to essentially counter the German vehicles at long range. Now, what's going to counter that is the Jagdtiger, but the Jagdtiger is still like 2 or 3 CPs away, so we're going to be waiting on that for quite a while. Interestingly, Crossfire is still not going for any other vehicles. He's at 400 fuel and, well, almost 1,000 manpower. So if you think about it, he's essentially got 300 manpower to work with because the Jagdtiger is 720. So with that 300 manpower, he could get something out. He's got even more fuel comparatively to work with, which is 120. So 300 manpower, 120 fuel. I mean, we're getting perilously close to the price of a Panzer IV, and also, of course, a Yak Panzer 470. Both of these could be a choice that he goes for. What? Is that the British little incendiary? Yeah, British incendiary artillery coming in. I never really liked that incendiary flame mortar support. Looks like we have some pings coming down from both, well, some kind of player. Wait, no, actually that's the incendiary. Yeah, it does a little ping animation. Yeah, now that you see that. So it's gonna, I guess, force the Dushka to retreat and do some damage to fuel cache. Yeah, still not the best. For 150 munitions, that is definitely a little bit too much. Now, he's also going to be coming in with his infantry. He's lost one of the squads, and the other ones, even though he has 327 munitions, he still has not upgraded any of his infantry squads, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a puzzling move. I mean, at this point, with some Brens, I feel like his infantry would be so much more useful than without it. Looks like a bit of friendly fire coming down from G-Dot, using his White Phosphorus to push back the Germans, but eventually coming in with his own infantry and getting a little taste of the White Phosphorus. Definitely not what he wanted to for dinner. Now, he's gone for a Priest as well, which is, in my opinion, a pretty good and smart choice, because he wants to, well, has something to deal with the German trucks, and the Priest is something that can do that quite nicely. Also, we have a Katyusha coming in. Yep, that was a Katyusha from Barn PL. Interesting choice. I guess he wants that little bit of extra anti-infantry support against the German, I guess, blobs in the center. I'm not sure. It can be quite useful, but it can also be hunted down fairly easily in something like a 4v4. There's going to be quite a lot of things that want this Katyusha dead. First and foremost, the Stuka from Nagano, which so far has managed to rack up 27 kills, which is quite impressive. So looking to continue its sort of successful streak is going to be this is going to be quite dangerous for the Katyusha to operate in the central area of the map. Without some pretty good micro from Barden, he's going to need to well, reposition this thing pretty much every time it fires, and even then, after it fires, it probably wants to be hiding around in places where the Allies will not be, or the Axis will not be thinking that he's hiding. Ooh, the Panzer Fusiliers, well, they've grown up, so 4 and 5 veterancy for both of these squads. Very, very strong already, and we have a Panther coming in from Crossfire, so in the end he has decided to spend some of his extra resources on that Panther, and at this point he's going to be looking very, very strong for the late game, with a couple of vetted up Panzer Fusiliers, although they're perilously standing close together in a bunched up formation, which could be vulnerable to artillery strikes. The Katyusha still, no, actually has just managed to reload, and right now they're retreating back to their battle headquarters. The Allies know where this battle group is. I mean, if I switch to the Allied fog of war mode, actually, no, they don't. That's very lucky. Actually, very, very lucky. Right now, Command Panther from Nagano manages to get in close with the T-34s, get some damage off, and a marked vehicle. One of the mortar half-tracks goes down. Looks like the Panther from Crossfire has managed to enter the fight, along with the Jagdtiger. The Jagdtiger is coming in. Looks like a couple of Soviet tank destroyers are fighting. Fireflies very nicely using their tulip rockets to blind and stun this Panther, before it can get too close and in and amongst the allied TD horde. The T-34s are also working to suppress the German tank push, along with a stolen Raken Ripper, so very nicely the allied infantry manages to push back the Germans and also put some hurt down on the German vehicles by doing some nice moves, such as stealing this Raken Ripper. Interestingly enough, only one AT grenade seems to have destroyed the engines of the Panthers, partially due to the fact that most of that infantry was British, so of course no AT grenades were available. And here comes the strong KB2, my favorite tank in the game, with a really cool skin. So KB2 is going to be very, very, very strong in the center. He can definitely plot that down with some firing positions in a secure position, trying to also perhaps build some extra, well, rip. He's going to have to rebuild those conscripts. Perhaps also trying to build some repair stations in a more, I guess, precluded location where it's not going to get blasted away by a Stuka, like the last repair station. The problem with the KB2 is that it's completely countered by the Jagdjäger. The Jagdjäger is, of course, quite strong against sort of the big single target that's hard to penetrate, and that's exactly what the KB2 is. Especially strong against the KB2 also because it can outrange it, one of the few units in the game that mostly outranges the KB2. And in general, it's not going to be that good for the Allies. In fact, the first victim of the Jagdjäger is already paying the price, the ultimate price. That 40-34-76 didn't see what was coming. Or rather, it did, but it was too late. And yeah, so it looks like KB2 plus Su-85, very good combination. You look at the Fog of War right now. The KB2's weakness when it goes into the firing position mode is that, well, of course, it's already unable to move, but another big weakness is that its line of sight gets essentially slashed down to 0. So with the support of something like an Su-85 with that focus sight mode, you can really, really compensate for the big weakness with the KB2. It can also provide some very good AT support, so overall, destroying that Schwerpanther quarters, this is exactly why I thought that positioning it over here was a bit of a, I guess, over-aggressive move. In general, it could have been a lot better placed in a, well, maybe not a lot better placed, but placed in a more safe location. And I feel like against an allied team that is so well distributed, it's pretty much important to do. In general, whenever you're facing a good team in a 4v4, you can be sure that they're going to be, well, if they're going to be offered a finger, they're going to take the whole hand. So overall, needs to be very, very careful with placing, especially something like a Schwerpanzer quarters, because it's a building. It can't run away. And looks like also the second Schwerpanzer from Crossfire is taking a little bit of fire from the Katyusha. Katyusha doing its job quite nicely at pinning down the German position in the center. So the Allies looking pretty good right now. They have a triple cap going, which is going to be eating away at the German BP reserve. The tickets slowly draining. 10, says Nagano. I'm not sure what 10. Oh well. I guess one day we might find out. And this is exactly the weakness of the KB2. When it is alone like this... Oh, nice mine. Mine actually takes out the engine of the Command Panther in a very bad position with the Su-85 looking over the road. But, however, the KB2 Heavy Assault Tank, thanks to the marked vehicle from the... Thanks to the marked vehicle from the Command Panther, goes down. Thankfully, this Panther comes in around the corner and proves me right, and does not make me look like an imbecile for predicting the death of the KB2 so early. But still, I'm guessing it was part of a bait. Partially a bait, definitely. I mean, keeping that KB2 out there again against good teams that are coordinated and they're experienced and they're good players and know how to play together and do these kind of things. Give them a finger and they'll take the arm. It looks like a lot of arms are being taken. KB2 goes down. Priest goes down in a very exposed central position, right in the middle of the field. And also, of course, earlier on, the Schwerpanzer quarters going down for the Germans. So lots and lots of, I guess, high-profile little targets being taken out from both sides. Kind of leaves the Germans into a decent position, as opposed to what looked like a well, would look like a very good position for the Allies is now turning around a little bit. Managing to take out both the KV-2 and the Priest is going to be a big boon for the German infantry, and definitely an even bigger one for the German buildings, as they will not have to live under constant Priest barrage. In fact, the Priests have managed to destroy the battle group headquarters for Crossfire, and he has purchased another truck to replace that, I think, because he wants that extra bit of healing and reinforcing on the front lines. Now, he's lost one of the big, heavily vetted up Panzer Fusiliers, and he's lost also one of the non-vetted up Panzer Fusiliers, leaving him with only one P Fusilier squad. Here comes a potentially devastating Stuka barrage that just slightly whiffs a lot of Allied infantry, so that was pretty unfortunate for Nagano. He's definitely been using the Stuka very well. It's already up to veterancy 3 with 38 kills, which is quite impressive already. One building kill, in fact, on its belt. I think that was a repair station, however, so not the biggest building kill ever. Ooh, so here is the strength of that Blitzkrieg doctrine with that 200 munition Stuka Crusader support can be very strong. Not only to do damage to the Allied vehicles, but also as an area of denial tool, because whenever you know that there's a bit of a circle where you don't want to go into, or else you're going to get murked by an airplane, you tend to stay out of it, especially with your tanks. There goes the Panzerwerfer. Very nicely, Barton PL manages to use his T-34-76 that he has left as a, I guess, Panzerwerfer hunting machine, which is something that the T-34 is going to be excellent at doing, because it's expendable, it's fast, it's got a pretty decently accurate gun. I mean, it mostly misses, but it's decently accurate for Soviet standards. Right now, it seems like Von Esten has gone for a Brumbeer. Definitely a very good choice, because he needs that extra bit of anti-infantry support. And right now, the Axis artillery is responding, well, even more than in kind to the Allied bombardments of their own base areas. And they're doing really well. Right now, they have managed to take out quite a lot of Allied troops, and also do a huge amount of damage to the Allied buildings in the central area of the map. The French mortar emplacement has run out of its, you know, little brace structure mode thing that you want to keep on at all times, and of course, because of that, it goes down. Looks like the AC has also been upgraded with the command vehicle designation from Sidolio. Not entirely sure what it is going to do for him. I mean, if you're going to put an AC that's a command vehicle in range of the main fight, of course, to provide them command vehicle bonuses, it's going to die. So I think that it's a little bit of a mute upgrade for him. So he's finally managed to get a few Brens up and running, and that's definitely going to help him out against the German troops. So there's a bit of a lull in the fighting. Let's review the players all one by one. Something that I probably should do more in 4v4s now. Ooh, pretty potentially dangerous. Nah, manages to survive. Still, does quite a bit of damage and gets some veterancy. In fact, manages to reach Vet 4 with that Stuka. Okay, so Barn PL, or not Barn PL, the other Polish person, Captain S. Bryce. So Captain S. Bryce going for the death, because he's gonna die. His KB2 is in trouble right now. He's got the Mark vehicle coming in from the Panther, although very nice AT grenades coming in from these conscripts might save the KB2. KB2 right now isn't firing because it's not on firing positions. It can't fire over obstacles. Very unfortunate. Huge Katyusha barrage almost takes out Panzer, not Panzer, Fusiliers, Obersoldaten from, what was that? Nagano. Right, Nagano. He's got that KB2, and he's positioned it in a very smart position. Over here, what's going to happen here? Well, there goes that poor command vehicle. Unfortunate. Over here, it really is going to be well protected from the shots of something like a Panther. The Jagdtiger can fire over the obstacles, but at the same time, the KB2 can fire back, and of course, it can sort of be defended by the Allied infantry in the middle of the ruins of the town, so that's kind of okay. He could improve his position by building a couple of repair stations in the area, but so far he has been able to hold down quite quickly. And he's also got an SU-85 that's veteran C2, so of course very strong. That's able to help support the KB2 against enemy armor pushes, as we saw earlier. Well, that was a bit underwhelming for a Stuka barrage, but oh well. Sedilio has 2 Fireflies on the field, one of them with tulip rockets, the other one without tulip rockets. He's kind of run out of munitions, and right now he does not want to be wasting his Fireflies at all, especially since there's this Yak Tiger on the field. He does not want to be eating too much damage from this little Beast of Doom. Well, not exactly little, but this big Beast of Doom. And at this point, I feel like Sedilio has kind of relegated again to that sort of tank destroyer role, now that his forward position has been taking some very, very big pounding from the Axis artillery. He needs to sort of regain his footing, and maybe he's going to go for an AVRE later on, but the problem with the AVRE is that it's going to be very, very vulnerable to the Yak Tiger and Panthers. Going along, we have Baron PL. Baron PL has 2 Kachushas on the field, one with 14 kills and one with 28. Wow. I'm actually pretty surprised with that kill count, so definitely doing very well with these vehicles. Looks like on the left side there's a bit of a counterattack from Mogano with that command panther that he rebuilt. It's not going to go all too well because he's kind of going in alone. He's got 2 Stukas in support, which have fired, at least one of them. The second one fires, the one with the big kills. And right now it manages to get some more of the big kills, and that was pretty good for Nagano. However, alone with himself, he's got like, is that 10 pop cap? 14 pop cap, so he's got 28 pop cap tied down into 2 artillery units that can't really do too much in the assault. I mean, of course, they can soften up enemy units, but when it actually comes time to put the boots on the ground, the artillery units will not be too effective. And then he's got 20 pop cap, I believe this is. No, 18. I'm pretty bad with pop cap. 18 tied down in a strictly anti-vehicle unit that can be very quickly taken out by the Su-85. So overall, his actual force isn't quite as well tailored to attacking an enemy fortified position as you may think. Ooh, but looks like the Germans are pushing in very, very nicely in the center. The Allied sort of embankment has been completely cleared. And, well, the Stug is definitely going to go down. I mean, standing by itself so far behind enemy lines, it's not going to be that good. But still, it's kind of indicative that the Germans... Ooh. That was a Stuka close air support. Very nice. It's kind of indicative that the Germans can push in with something like a Stug. And in fact, it's going to survive so far into enemy lines, and then follow it up with 2 Obersoldaten and still be able to keep these units alive and kicking. Right now, the Allies have a big deficiency in the center. They need some way to defend this area more securely from the Axis, and that could be pretty bad if they do not do that. There goes the AC. And of course, the Germans are going to essentially manage to capture the center because of their superiority. There goes a veterans-free Pinot with also a LMG 42 that was stolen. Katyusha Barrage takes out almost the entire Obersoldaten squad that, well, did the deed, but unfortunately there's a second Obersoldaten squad that's standing down here, managing to do its job and pushing away the Allied infantry in the meantime. Taking a sip of water, sorry. Had to. I was talking way too quickly, way too long. At this point, yeah, Baron PL, while his artillery force definitely is very, very fearsome, his infantry and vehicles are, well, taking huge casualties and they need to be replaced a little bit. G-Dot was forced to be a more, well, not really forced, he was going for a more defensive playstyle earlier on, and he's still kind of doing that with 2 priests on the field. Looks like he's managed to rebuild them, and yeah, he's definitely quite useful to his team, although with the 3 riflemen he has managed to capture and hold the right side of the map most of the game, which has been, I think, even more useful to his team than the priests. So overall, G-Dot is kind of a wild card. I mean, he could be branching off into any unit that he wants at this point. He could be going for like a Sherman or 2 to counter the Obersoldaten. He could be going for more priests to pound down the German buildings, of course, in this area. Or he could be going for like a couple of Jacksons, which I think might be a good decision, although his allies have a lot of TVs. So far, they haven't been adequate to counter the big swarms of Allied, Axis heavy armor. So maybe a Jackson or 2 would help with that. I don't know. So 17 pounder was going up, and the T-34 was trying to defend it, and it did defend it with its life. Also, the Panther over here tries to come in, but it gets completely popped in the face by the tulip rockets from the veteran C3 Firefly, which because of that, manages to survive just slightly. This is going to be a huge boon for Sedilio because he's going to essentially keep one of his, or actually his most important units on the field alive, and that could be coming in very, very handy later on. Here comes a couple of grenades from the conscripts at the Panthers that were once again trying to dive into the, I guess, gauntlet of Captain S. Price with the KB2 and the Su-85, and the KB2 strong 152 millimeter main gun destroys the Panther as it's retreating. So KB2 once again proving itself to be strongest tank on the field, doing its job correctly. And of course the Su-85 managed to get bet free supporting it, and there's quite a bit of a fortress that Captain S. Price is building, quite a bit of a fortress Poland on the left side. He's got 2 mines right up there. He had 2 mines right up there, which was a very good move because, of course, what if the Germans were trying to, I guess, flank there? And here comes a Stuka bombing strike on the Su-85. Judging from the red there, that was a combat engineer squad. Yep. Not anymore. He's going to be replacing that combat engineer. And, of course, Captain S. Price holding down this left side of the map quite well means that the Germans really need to do something about it. And oh boy, they're coming in with the response. They've got 3 players uniting their forces, or at least part of them, to come in. Of course, the command panther comes in to get that marked vehicle off on the KB2. The KB2 is very confused about what to fire at. The little hold down mode does give it a minimum firing range restriction, so it can't fire if the enemies are too close. Looks like a British unit down here died. Also, a Soviet unit died. Looks like a Su-85 died. The KB2 is going to die as well, but these 2 Panthers are so very low. Here comes a Sticky Satchel, which is going to kill this this Panther. Second Panther is very much in trouble as well. There's a lot of PTRSs fighting to get at its rear, and they've managed to do that, and that rear armor hit is going to be enough to finish it off. I think one more hit from one of these units, or even a AT grenade. Of course, Captain S. Price is out of munitions, so that could be pretty bad. He's going to capture that PTRS once again. So the Germans lost 2 Panthers in that push, one of them a command Panther, and the Allies lost a KB2 and a Su-85, but they still have the vet-free Su-85. Of course, the Allies, in the meantime, could have been, I guess, a little bit more active in trying to respond, because that was a huge commitment of forces for the Germans. We have 3 players coming in with lots and lots of vehicles, and the Allies didn't really manage to counterattack on any other part of the map, it seems like. I mean, Von Asten also lost his Panther, one of his Panthers, rather, the veteran one. Looks like the Stukas from Nagano still doing their job and pinning down a lot of Allied troops in the central part of the map. And it looks like the infantry forces of the Allies were just kind of replenishing back at base, so they couldn't really push up for the center and trying to capture it. The artillery was doing its own thing and didn't manage to assist in any kind of way. 41 kills for this Katyusha and 18 for the other. Kind of tells us that these Katyushas have been doing some pretty massive work for the motherland. And at this point, it seems like the Germans are also trying to sort of swarm over the right side, but this Katyusha isn't really phased by the Panther's existence. Tries to get into the rear armor of the Panther with those armor-piercing rounds, but not going to be enough. Gets flanked by these Grenadiers, and that could be the end of the right side dominance for the Allies. The left side dominance of the Allies is also in question. We have a pretty decent, I guess, follow-up push from Nagano. Right now, by himself is going to be more than enough to capture the sort of empty left side of the map. Captain S. Price has gone for a second Su-85, so he's going to have to wait quite a long time for another KB2, which was the linchpin of his defense, although I guess he positioned it a little bit too far ahead. He did have quite a good fortress set up over there with the mines and the Su-85s covering the rear, but perhaps the mines should have been placed a little bit more further up to provide a little bit of a screen in front of the KB2 to prevent the Axis from getting in too close to the KB in the first place. But hey, I don't presume to judge too heavily. It was still a very decent engagement for considering the forces that were arrayed up against them. Captain S. Price managed to get quite a nice chunk of damage off on the Allies, so very well played from him. Now, Crossfire right now has a very, very scary force of a P4, a P5, and a Yak Tiger. Yak Tiger is up to Veteran C4, which is insane. And that's going to be very hard to deal with for the allies, especially since these allied players are very much focusing on the tank destroyer side of things rather than the medium tank side of things. Partially because it is a more tank destroyer favorable map, being Lian Forest. Partially also because I feel like they're not wanting to risk too much on medium armor when, of course, the enemies are so much into the Panther love as they are. Shtukatsu Fuse sends out to Vet 5, so 46 kills for this very, very strong unit, and it manages to also deal quite a lot of damage to the Firefly, along with the Yak Tiger destroying it pretty much in one shot. I mean, between the rocket and the Yak Tiger around it was pretty much one-shotted. That's pretty bad. I mean, that was Sidolio's, like, well, one of Sidolio's main units to counter Axis armor, and even more successes coming in from the Axis. One of the Jacksons that G-Dot had gone for goes down, and right now the Panzer IV up to Veteran C2 doing its job, also providing some support. There's an Austrian on the field for Scotch. I guess he wants that extra AA support and anti-infantry. Pretty decent. Priests respond to that Ostwind. Looks like a bit of an engagement is going down on the right side of the map, but this Grimbear is going to be very, very strong in this kind of engagement when there's no allied armor that can be spared. There is a M4C Sherman, which is something that I was waiting for a long, long time to see. I mean, swarms of M4C Shermans could have definitely helped out the allies in dealing with the Yak Tiger and the Shtukas especially. The Shtukas still, oh my god, the reload speed on this Vet 5 Shtuka is so damn fast. And it can just put out so many rockets so quickly. It's just very, 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 very scary for the allies to be in this kind of situation. Looks like another Panther tried to come in and destroy something. Push in, but it failed. And it was replaced by yet another Panther from Crossfire. But at this point, pretty much just kind of has infinite reserves of well, both resources and manpower. I mean, he's just got so much in the bank. 257 fuel. Scotch has 383 fuel, although he's definitely going in with more of the infantry and supportive playstyles, so it's kind of to be expected. He wants to be a little bit of the I guess, unsung hero of the match for the Axis team. He doesn't really have anything too high profile, but he's just got quite a few useful units. Not really anything that's going to be carrying the day on its own, but something that can help out their allies in carrying the day. Well, the constant fight over the center has been going on pretty much since that minute 9 when we first noticed it, and right now I don't really see anytime soon anybody's gonna take too much of a upper hand. However, the Germans, if I may say so myself, do have some good advantages going for them. They have a Vet 5 Jag, although the Vet 5 Jag is in very much big trouble. I mean, this Su-85 might be able to destroy it with its last remaining shot. No, it doesn't. Thanks to that extra reload speed from the Veteran C, Yak Tiger manages to pop its last round on the wreck. For some reason, it activated the building piercing ammunition, the AP-CBC HE shells, which are the thing that allows the Yak Tiger earlier to shoot through and hit the KP. I'm pretty sure it was doing that, at least. Because those rounds, at the price of like 60 munitions, something like it, 90 munitions, do allow the Yak Tiger to fire through world objects, which can be very, very bad news for the Allied troops. So there's a Zsu half-truck on the left side for the Allies. I guess it's a little bit of extra AA support and in a way, a bit of an MG, quote-unquote. It can be used as an MG. Also, the Allies did manage to get a triple cap in those last few moments, and that brought the Germans down to 31 VP. So the Germans now are very, very much going to be compelled to be much more aggressive than normal, which could be a huge advantage for the Allies because they could force the Axis into making a lot of mistakes. Now, ooh, yes, that was amazing. Getting one of those Katyushas down, and the second Katyusha goes down to the combo breaker of the Shuka dive bomb from Von Asten. So pretty good job from Nogano and Von Asten, and of course also Scotch, because he did use that reconnaissance overflight to spot those Katyushas So very nicely coordinating those on-map and off-map artillery and airstrikes to maximum effect for the Germans. Ooh, there comes another Panzerwerfer barrage taking out one of those sapper squads, which haven't been having the best of days. There's still a veterancy-free Firefly for Sidolio. It's the other one and not the one with the tulip rockets, however. And it managed to destroy the Ostwind as well, so no more Eastern Wind for the Germans. Germans coming in with tons and tons of Panzerwerfers. We have 3 Panzerwerfers on the field for our Wehrmacht players, which are definitely going to be a huge problem for the Allies as they come in and try to capture the center, because if the Panzerwerfers fire one by one, they're going to be able to essentially continuously put down barrages as the Allies are trying to capture the center and be a huge nuisance. Here comes a incendiary barrage from the veteran C5 Stuka, doing a little bit of damage to the conscripts, although it kind of just mostly whiffed the Allied troops. This Su half-track is definitely going to go down to that Panzer IV-J. Also, here comes the Train of Doom, I guess we could call it, the Doom Train, the Jagdtiger and the Panther. One kind of negating the mobility of the other, I feel like. Not the best possible thing. So Captain S. Price is still kind of reeling from that earlier push. He's only got 2, quote-unquote, only got 2 Su-85s. One of those, though, is the veterancy-free one, which can be very, very dangerous to the Axis armored force. Here comes a Satchel Charge, which is going to be a suicide for those veterancy-free penals. Little bit of a problem there. Overall, it seems like the Allied infantry is trying to cover the left side VP, but it's not going to be enough. I mean, these Sturmpiles with Bet 2 and a stolen MG42, yeah, no, they're going to have to retreat. Bit of an engagement on the right side of the map, which has been heating up throughout these last remaining minutes. I mean, the Brumbear / Panther combo from Von Asten has been doing its job on the right side. It's kept the Allied infantry at bay very much, and also the Allied vehicles there not doing too much. But, interestingly enough, Byron PL going for some T-34 76s instead of going for more M4C Shermans. He definitely is valuing the quantity right now over the quantity, with, of course, the T-34s being only like 80 fuel, right? Yeah, only 80 fuel and 300 manpower, as opposed to the 380, damn, that's pretty expensive, and 135 for the M4C. You don't really quite go to the, like, 2-4-1. Oh, there goes another Command Panther. I mean, it's just not been a good day for Nagano's Command Panthers. It's like the 4th one he's lost, right? Let's go to the RAF's 3rd one. Still, not a good day for the Command Panthers. Not at all. Not quite to that 2-to-1 ratio, but we're getting pretty close to it. So you can almost go for 2 times as many T-34s as you can M4Cs. And what I feel like he kind of wants to do with these T-34s is that he wants to have a little bit of a cheaper unit to guard the right side and do its own bidding. But once that's done, he can try to use these T-34s for not only flanking maneuvers to try to take out the artillery, but also rams. So in general, like highly risky missions that normal vehicles are going to be, well, in general, vehicles are not going to be coming out alive from, but normal vehicles, it would be bad because it's expensive and you don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. But with a T-34 76, I mean, the most expendable vehicle in the game, or rather medium armor piece in the game, maybe. Right side Rookstrike, this Sure Panzer Quarters is going to go down soon enough to the, oh no, Su-85 is going to be flanked by the 4th Command Panther, but thankfully the terrain over here is pretty bad, so the Su-85 manages to get out, sort of disentangling itself from the Command Panther. The Command Panther right now takes a bit of a poor critical, and right now it's going to limp back with the damaged gun, and I think that this is going to be the end of it. Look at that race car vet-free Su-85, very, very good, but however, Su-85 takes another big round to the face, and now it's going to itself run away with a damaged gun from a Panther. Okay, right side, fully under control of the Allies. Germans down to 16 VPs, and right now they have control over one of the VPs, and one of them is neutralized, and it's going to be theirs soon enough. So the situation is pretty grim for the Germans. Here comes another excellent Stuka Air support with the flare support from Nagano and his special operations. That's going to provide the line of sight for those Stuka close air support aircraft to essentially destroy these priests, but the priest survives with just a tiny sliver of health. 29 kills on his priest is actually incredibly impressive. 29-29. Wow, the twins. The twin priests doing quite well for themselves. That is 58 kills between them. Not bad at all. So it looks like overall the priests have been doing their job. In general, these German buildings have been mostly destroyed. And one of the priests went down. No, that was not one of the priests. That was a... What died? It said gun carrier, so it must have been a priest. I don't know. Had to have been a priest. Didn't see it though. Right side, M4C Sherman taking a lot of fire, but it was a bait. Here comes the T-3476s. They will block the Panther and get behind it with the second one. Unfortunately, it kind of overshoots and misses. But there's a squad with 2 bazookas coming in. A rifleman with 2 bazookas. They can... Oh, they're not being microed. Oh, that's so very unfortunate. If they had been on, like, for example, attack move, and they had used the AT grenade, this Panther would have definitely gone down. And it's a Veterans 2-1, so it would have been a very good kill to have. Looks like the M4C survived, however, so overall the mission was kind of successful for the Allies. Center part of the map has been reclaimed by the Germans, and right now there's 160 points for the Allies. Barn PL hasn't managed to recover quite entirely from losing those 2 Katyushas. Right now he still has one of them, but clearly the artillery superiority of the Germans is starting to tell as they are managing to capture this point more often than the Allies. Partially because they don't have to face quite as many big barrages and another Schwer Panzer Headquarters from Nagano to cover the central western area of the map. Interesting. Yeah, I still think that these Schwer Panzer Headquarters placements are a little bit insane. I mean, every time you're doing something like that, it's like 135 fuel, so quite a lot. And yeah, the Yak-Tiger is just very, very strong, but at this point it's taking quite a lot of damage, and the Su-85 doing also its own part. Wow, that was pretty devastating. Plowing into the Penals with that Stuka barrage could have been even worse, but luckily for the Allies, it didn't manage to get any wipes. 65 kills for this Vet 5 Stuka, doing absolutely wonderfully. And here comes another Panzer barrage. So the rocket artillery for the Germans definitely coming into play in these later stages of the game. Right now, the Germans are down to only 16 points, which means that essentially, if they were to well, lose the central VP or the left side, they would only have like 45 seconds of tickets before the game ended. So they need to be very, very careful, and they need to concentrate on only 2 points at once. They need to be putting as many forces as possible between the points, or rather between the Allies and the points. Need to do something to stop them from capturing the VPs, and right now they're doing just that. They need to not waste too much on the right side, only a couple squads just to harass and try to get some cheeky captures. So overall, while the situation is bad for the Germans, it could be much, much worse, and right now they're doing exactly what they need to do to keep up this state of affairs and not lose. Stuka, second Stuka is up to 21 kills, well now up to 24 kills, doing quite well. Looks like the medium tank squadron from Barn PL is going to be forced to retreat. One of these tanks is going to eat a Panzerfaust. No, it doesn't. Von Asten not really quite fast enough on the micro with those Grenadiers. And the 2 Panthers definitely doing quite a lot, but here comes a second M4C Sherman from the rear. If it manages to get behind these Panthers, that could be very, very bad for the Panthers, as the 76mm from that thing could be very dangerous, but it's not moving, interestingly enough. So the Panthers are going to be able to just rush in and take out one of these T-3476s. In the meantime, we have a bit of a push in the center for the Allies, trying to recapture the central BP. With this Sherman with the tulip rockets, it could work, but it needs to be very, very careful of enemy AT, especially this Yak-Tiger. Yak-Tiger on the left side has been fighting with another KV-2 that's been called in by Captain S. Price, and it's going to go down. Unfortunately, the Su-85 was not brought in to assist. However, as you can see, there's a lot of Allied infantry in the area. Allied infantry takes a bit of a... Well, I thought that was the 12.8 centimeter supporting fire, but it looks like that wasn't. It was the anti-building rounds. Still, there's a lot of Allied infantry in the area, which can indeed provide quite a bit of support against the big TDs and Panthers. However, because of the placement of these two Schwer Panzer quarters, the Germans have quite the impenetrable defensive line on the left side, and have also managed to get a bit of a push going on the right side of the map, doing quite well for themselves with the Panthers' assistance, getting out lots of damage on the T-34s and forcing away some of them. The German infantry is able to come in, force away G-Dot's troops, and capture the right side VP. So there's a triple cap on the way for the Germans, and I don't see how the Allies can counter this. I mean, they're going to need to do something quickly. 1 minute and a half on the clock left for them. And there's Vet 5 Jagdtiger with 19 kills, most of them probably vehicles. Yeah, 9 vehicles. Is just very, very scary. And the Allies are lacking in mobility, they're lacking in artillery, they're lacking in infantry especially. So I don't feel like the Allies are going to be able to recover from this as we're approaching the hour mark. So overall, what I feel like the Germans did a lot better than the Allies is just joined pushes or combined pushes, coordinated ones. The Allies at some point just kind of split into multiple little groupings. We had G-Dot holding mostly the right side and then having the artillery in the center. Then we had Barn in the center, supported by Sodolio. And then we had Captain S. Price on the left. Whereas for the Germans, yes, we had mostly Nogano on the left side and Von Asten and a little bit of Scotch on the right side, but they mostly interchanged each other throughout the map. They put their units where they thought were most important to put at the time. They managed to get their units together to make big pushes, combined pushes, such as the one that crippled Captain S. Price, and later the one that, pretty good. Later the one that managed to push the Allies all the way to the field point. They were able to always do that together in a little bit of a more coordinated fashion than the Allies. And I feel like that provided just a tiny bit of edge that they required to just sort of slightly be better than the Allies. Because this wasn't a very one-sided game. This was very, very close. And just a tiny bit of extra coordination allowed the Axis that just tiny advantage that allowed them to win. Also, they were able to use their artillery in a bit of a better fashion. Again, because of their better coordination, they managed to use the spotting abilities from the artillery flares from Nogano and the recon run from Scotch. They were able to use that to zero in their own artillery on the Allied pieces, and also to use the very excellent Stuka Colossar support ability from Scotch to essentially destroy the Allied artillery before the Allied artillery could do too much damage. I mean, it managed to get a lot of work done, but still not too much. And then eventually, the rocket arty from the Germans just managed to overcome the remaining Allied infantry. I mean, 26 kills for this guy, 82 for this guy, so that's like 108 kills just from Nagano's. Sorry for that. Just from Nagano's pieces, we have 108 kills. And then we have 54 kills from Scotch's Panzerwerfer. The Panzerwerfers from Von Asten, one of them went down, the other got 4 kills. So just a ridiculous amount of kills from these artillery pieces. And the Allied pieces also had a lot of kills, but at some point they just started dropping like flies. And so that allowed the Germans some breathing space to just come in, capture the points, and do their own thing. So I want to thank you for watching. This is a very good game. I hope you'll join me for game 2, which will be right after this one. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.